All right, we should be all set.
All right. Welcome everyone. It's good to see you all. Sorry I have to take you away from the beautiful weather today. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's 5:36, June 8th, 2023. And we have two commissioners online. So I'm going to take roll call real quick. If you're here, just say here or aye. Commissioner Guzman?
Here.
Commissioner Shelton?
Here.
Alder Hutchison?
Here.
Commissioner Greeno?
You'll see.
Commissioner Vinson?
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Here.
Okay, perfect. And then moving forward, I'd like to get a motion to approve the agenda for today.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Okay, that's moved. And then next is a motion to approve the minutes of our previous meeting, which was on May 11th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, so the minutes for May 11th are approved. All right, and then on to regular business. So this is going to be probably the larger portion of our discussion today. And so Commissioner Ortiz and Vincent, are you guys able to see the draft visibility initiative strategy?
Was that what was included with the agenda packet?
Yes.
I've got that up on my screen.
Perfect. Commissioner Ortiz?
No, I wasn't, sorry.
Joe, is there a way you can send like the link through the chat or something that she can just click?
I could, but I probably would be bringing up my email and everything on the screen.
You know what, I'll find it and I'll email it to you, Christina.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that?
All right,
Thanks, John.
thanks.
So just while we're waiting for that, just quickly, a brief about this. Commissioner Guzman and Shelton and I met just this past Friday to kind of discuss some ideas, and so that's what this packet is. It's the goals, what the initiative is, and then and I listed a few of the ideas that we came up with of how we can engage with the community. And so the ones who have it with you right now, please read through it real quick, and then we'll go through it more thoroughly.
Hey, when would we have been sent this?
It should actually be on the city website
City,
under,
okay.
yeah, with the agenda packet.
Okay, so I'm looking at what was sent, I don't see it here.
Yep, if you go to the left side, agenda packet. Agenda packet.
So maybe
And
this.
scroll down, it's,
That's not
oh,
there.
mine was attached with it. Yeah,
Oh,
mine
yeah.
mine showed up.
That's really weird.
Okay, that's okay, I'll send her one.
That's weird. But it's fine. Good.
Yeah, that's so weird, John. I'm able to pull it up on my phone too.
Oh, looks like Commissioner Vincent has it in the chat.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Perfect, cool.
Okay, so while you guys are kind of going over this, keep in mind this is a draft. I wrote it in the way that my brain is organized, not necessarily user-friendly or very legible for others, but after our discussion today, I'm gonna go back and revise and make sure that you guys are able to read it. Oh, I see Commissioner Hassan has joined us.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Saeed.
welcome.
So do we need a motion to start, like a motion to support this, so that we can open some conversation around it, or what are you looking for us to do?
So for me, I was looking for discussion, and I think the motion today would just be to continue with this draft that we've started. So that's the motion that I'd be looking for.
I think maybe even just hold it until next meeting.
Okay.
But eventually the idea would be to actually motion to support this, yeah.
Yep. So I think some of us have been able to read through the document. Just to reiterate, the Visibility Initiative really is to make sure that the community knows that we exist, and I want them to understand that they have a safe space in local government. And so you'll see there's a big chunk of mission, vision, goals, and I wanted to run through the goals real quick. Goal 1, and these are in no particular order, just happened to be written this way, but I wrote to raise awareness and promote the understanding of the Equal Rights Commission's presence. Goal 2, ensure that we advance diversity, equity, and social justice of the protected groups of people under the Equal Rights Ordinance. Goal 3, through effective education, share adequate information about the Equal Rights Commission, ensure it is accessible to a wide range of Green Bay residents. And accessibility considerations, I wrote a list there, you guys can read through that. If you guys have any questions on it, please feel free to let me know. And then goal 4, continue to maintain and develop partnerships with the following groups of individuals. And it's just kind of making sure we're not missing out on any residents or parts of communities here in Green Bay. Goal 5, build trust, encourage participation, and ensure all individuals are aware of their rights and the resources available to them through the Equal Rights Ordinance. Do you guys have any questions, input? Is that too many goals? Can I condense something, add something?
I feel like you hit everybody. So I don't have any input in terms of what else to add. In terms of the goals, they seem pretty straightforward and to the point of what we need to do and build visibility. I agree.
Any thoughts, Alderman?
No, I'm just going through and it's, as you read it, I like the fact it encourages thought. I mean, just like immigrant refugee, native born, and I'm thinking, hell, I'm an immigrant. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it gets you to think.
Yeah.
I like that. So, yeah, I'm seeing this as good. I think it's adding meat to the bone of what this commission should be doing, and that's exactly, I think, what we should be doing now, especially at this time. So, and I like the fact of getting the word out, and I would say there would need to be something about going into the school system, virtually every school, and letting them know, what we should probably determine what the best way to do that is. But we should hit every school on this within the city of Green Bay. This is good.
Yeah, I think it's really good too. I think you did such a nice job of kind of capturing some of the ideas we've been throwing out there. I'm a little daunted by the amount of stuff that we seem to or that we seem to need to do here, but that's the place to start.
Wait until the next section, then I think you'll feel a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe that's
I
kind
think
of
you'll feel
what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. But no, I really appreciate that John and Commissioner Guzman, you guys were able to share some of your ideas to help kind of guide me or to give me a starting point. And so if no one else has any other comments, I want to move on to section 3, which is outreach, engagement, and activation strategy.
Do we want to just, since we've got people online, do we want to just kind of explicitly ask them if they have any feedback? Because sometimes you can kind of feel like you're.
Disconnection.
Yeah, absolutely. Do any of the commissioners online have any comments or suggestions for section 2, the goals?
Nothing for me that I would add. I think that's something for section 3 when we get to that part.
Okay, thank you. Last call. And obviously, if you think of something down the line, you can always unmute and share your thoughts on the section. But I'm going to move forward with section 3. So this section is kind of where I want the discussion to happen. What I'm going to ask from each commissioner is to review the list. And again, I categorized it in a way that my brain is able to organize it. But so it might not necessarily make sense to you, to each of you, but feel free to give me input on how to better organize it. What I'm asking from each of you is to choose 3 or 4 priority bullet points, and also to look at the bullet points and if some of them can actually be combined, or if some of the bullet points shouldn't happen without another, please let me know. So again, I'm asking for you guys to think about what are the top 3 to 4 priorities out of this list. And make sure you mark it, because I'm going to go around and ask each commissioner. And then once we get that list, we'll condense it. We'll see, where our thoughts align, and then we'll condense that list down. Once we get the top 3 priorities, that'll really help us create a timeline or a phase plan, and it'll give us a starting point on taking action for this initiative.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you suggesting that the final draft would have less of these things in here, narrowing them down, or keeping all this in here and then just having a few things that we're hey, we're going to focus on these things first?
Like that.
Okay, good.
The second one. I think all of this, ideally, in a perfect world, I think that I want us to do all of this, but that's, not practical. So I'd like to keep it on the list, and then let's have a few focus points
Got it.
and start from there. And again, some of these bullet points, they might fit together, so, feel free to let me know if something needs to be combined. So I'm gonna start off with Commissioner Guzman and John, since they helped me kind of ideate these items. Am I missing anything? Did I get anything wrong from our discussion?
I don't think so. I think that you organized our discussion really well, and you put it in, the titles and then under what goes with it. I don't like that because it literally does simplify and help my brain kind of take it in and understand the action item that would go with it. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it's real good. I was just trying to kind of go through here and look at things, or is it time for us to give suggestions about what priorities?
Yeah, absolutely. I know Commissioner Vincent had something else, but you can go ahead and start, and then we'll get to Commissioner
Well,
Vincent.
maybe if people have general feedback, we could just do it that way. First.
No. Say your piece, because I'm going to get into it on mine.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
I'm not going
okay.
to fluff. Get right into the nitty gritty. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to like kind of just quickly look at some of these things and think about like, what are things we should do that are like not a lot of effort? What are things we should do that are a lot of effort?
Mhm.
What are things that we don't have the capacity to do yet? What are things that staff can do
Yep.
so that we don't have to? And so I think we can probably do more than we think initially. Create an informative and user-friendly commission website, like that needs to happen, right? That's pretty low. I mean, staff's gonna have to do most of that, but in terms
Yeah.
of the content, that's us.
Yeah.
I think collaborate with local organizations and community leaders to host town hall meetings, workshops, and seminars should be a priority, but that's a lot of work. And however, that also fits with a lot of the other things that we have in here if you think about them kind of working sequentially. Because if you start with just like, we're gonna hold town hall events, you're gonna be developing pamphlets and flyers, right, to get out there for the promo for that. Eventually, you get into potentially like facilitating workshops and training sessions, but we're not there yet. Like, we don't have the capacity to do that stuff yet. Those to me seem like aspirational. And then targeted campaigns to raise awareness about specific rights, yes, but we also don't really quite have the capacity to do that yet because we need to have more of these like open conversations to identify what those things are, right? And we kind of already have with housing, but there might be other things. And then like engage with local media outlets to share press releases, organize interviews, and publish articles. That's where I think city staff can be more helpful. So like, we can have a conversation about like, all right, these are the things that the commission is doing that we want to highlight. How do we get city staff to be more proactive about like pitching stories about, because it doesn't make sense for us as a commission to be sending out those press releases, right? It looks like a much healthier and professional operation if you've got staff doing it, right? So like maybe we're like, for the Latino heritage stuff that we're going to be doing later, we pitch stories about, hey, have a conversation with Stephanie Guzman or Christina Ortiz, or both, right? So those are places where like, that's not a huge lift on our end as a commission, just people have to be available for those interviews, and right? So I think there's some things that we can almost have like a couple different tiers of like, this is something that we can do that's pretty easy, this is something that we can do that's a bit more of a lift, but we want to like prioritize something around this because that's going to take some resources, and then other things that are like long-term, we're going to do some of those things. But yeah, I think all this stuff is great.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Yeah, that really helps me kind of think about how to restructure and reorganize the strategy. Marcus?
Agree with John, user-friendly commission website. I'm not too sure if we're going to use a city website or if we're going to create our own. I think it's probably good to create our own just so we're not bogged down by different things, but I mean, that's a whole other different discussion. Where we get the funding for that, how we can do that. But yeah, in terms of creating a sophisticated website and just the structure of how this is, it reminds me of how I would develop a political campaign for an issue-based advocacy that I would be working on. So really great in terms of how it's run down. Establish social media accounts to share updates, educational content, engage the community. Yes, I think that's the top thing we should do.
Before you move on, I'm going to ask Joe real quick. For social media, Joe, are we allowed to have our own page, or do we have to go through like the community and economic development page, or can we have like a City of Green Bay Equal Rights Commission?
I'll follow up with the law department on that. There's a lot of First Amendment issues that can occur, I know we have a social media policy as well, so that's something I'll follow up with staff on that. I think it's doable. I think it's more maybe just some training for whoever's
course.
running it and
Of
staff,
course.
to make sure we're abiding by all the laws and regulations for that, but I'll follow up with that. I mean, yeah, I'll follow up.
And then, sorry,
Yeah.
one other thing real quick about the website. Has everyone sent your bio and your photo to me? If you have, I'm sorry, but, yeah.
I think I got it.
Yeah, if you guys can do that, we can at least update that portion so people understand who's on the commission. But also, second thing, do we have a person in place of Raya? Have we found a?
Not yet. We're going through the applications right now, and we're hoping to
Okay,
go
great.
through the interview process soon, and then hopefully, I would assume the next, probably 30, 60 days, I hope to have someone in place.
Okay, awesome. So we will have staff support for some of these items then.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry.
Cool.
Thank you.
Back on social media, definitely a Gen Zer, because like, I don't know how Snapchat and all the other things that they operate on. Instagram is probably one of the best methods, I think, in terms of educational content, in terms of engaging with the community, not so much Facebook. Collaborate with local organizations, communities to host town hall meetings, workshops, and participate in local events. What I would probably do is I would combine those together, because something that we did on some of our political campaigns that I've been on is that we don't really develop our own town halls. We go and we try and incorporate ourselves into a existing event that's going on. That way, you don't have to try and bring all these people in. You can just grab people as they're moving by or talking or whatever else. I think there's something else that was related to that down further. I get information brochures, pamphlets, flyers, probably, I mean, it's like my environmentalist coming out, but it's like, don't spend all the money on that. I would say do something more of organize local artists to put QR codes in certain areas in the city, or have someone, drop a wheat paste installation that's approved by the city in certain parts of the city, so that, that can happen. And that's just temporary.
I can't believe you're in policy and not marketing, Marcus.
They go hand in hand.
They do, they do.
And-
Those are great ideas.
And then the last two for development outreach channels with engaged local media and local podcasts. I'd say just combine them both and just talk about, we're just going to elevate the Equal Rights Commission through earned media opportunities. And that way it covers everything. So it doesn't make us look, it looks too daunting sometimes to look at some of this stuff. People be like, wait a second.
Yeah, you could just say local media and non-traditional media outlets or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah. Launch targeted campaigns to raise awareness about civic rights and issues. Under new business, I have an idea, so we'll get to that, but I thought that was a really good one. Back to host open house event for equal rights, same thing. The existing event with high traffic. Maybe it's Packer Family Night and we have a booth, or maybe we get a little opportunity to talk about the Equal Rights Commission through the Packer event, and then that way you're hitting everybody in the city, because everybody and their brother usually go there to that big event. So that's something we would do. Let's see. Continuously evaluate and refine outreach strategies based on community needs and responses. I think that's, continuously do that. Make sure it's like one of the top things I'd say for measuring impact, more than I'd say monitor website traffic. But that really depends on if we have our own website, if we have our own social media account, so that could all not even matter. Build partnerships with community organizations, nonprofits, and advocacy groups to leverage networks. I would also say businesses too, because they're always looking to collaborate on something, and if they can get their logo on, something that works even better. That's my bit.
Thank you. That was really insightful. I really appreciate that.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, I agree with all of your ideas. I think it's great, and this is why we need to have you more present more often. That's awesome.
As long as I'm not on an airplane, I'm good.
We have regular meeting time down in Reno.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm flying somewhere.
Schedule your flights other times.
I All right. Any other, did you guys want to add anything to what Commissioner Greeno said?
I think what John said is a good idea to have priorities for those bullets that we want to do first. And then once we have more feedback, whatever, then we can drop into the other ones. And the three that I saw right away was the third bullet, collaborate with local organizations and community leaders, like to host the town hall meetings. A great idea lapping onto an existing town hall, but also we could go drop into those local organizations and community functions, and I think I'm saying the same thing, and just use what they have scheduled and drop into them and be there. You know, that'd be a good one to do up front, just to get our name around. And then the other two I had is develop partnerships with local schools and universities to conduct educational presentations and workshops. That, to do that, but also advise them that we're here, you know, and just teach them that we're here and what we're supposed to be doing. But I think that's key up front, and then the production of informative brochures, pamphlets, and flyers, like you said, we'd have to do that once we start doing things. We'd have to do that anyway, and that totally makes sense. So those, to me, those first three things come together, and the rest of these would follow, kind of. There, maybe you want to add one or two or whatever more to the upfront, but I think, and that kind of follows through for each of these. They're very similar, those three things. If we keep following them through, the other bullets just get filled in once we start doing this stuff. But the concept is, don't whittle down, just identify those things we want to do first, and then do those, and then fill in, whatever that is. I threw my three out there, it could be others.
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. I think there's a lot of consensus in that so far. Any commissioners online want to speak?
An overall comment for me is that I see an opportunity for us to lean into best practice sharing with our sister commissions from other communities across the state, specifically Madison and Milwaukee, who are much more mature in their journey, and obviously that we are, to learn what tactics and tools do they use that have found to be beneficial, what hasn't worked that we should stay away from. I would love to see us, spend an hour or two with the chairs of those commissions to gain that understanding.
Yeah. Good idea.
That's an absolutely great idea, and maybe what we can do is invite them to come and, speak at one of our meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to bring up is, right here it says measure, impact, and adjust. Just based on the temperature of like our council members. I know that they like data and they really love it, and sometimes by not having it, they use that against some of the things that people bring up. So I feel like we should look to partner with either nonprofits like Wello that do work with the city constantly, to maybe see if we can come up with something whenever we, like John said, when we tackle the next thing. We had housing, but should we choose to tackle something to get surveys and get data, they could help us. You know what I mean? I know that they've done it for other things here in the city, so I think that I would really like to somehow find a way that we can get numbers, so that when we do present ourselves to the council, we have a lot of traffic in our website. We have continuous, something there, so that should we ever have to, come there for some topic that is, because a lot of the topics we hear are controversial, at least we have backup data to back us up as well.
Even just one of those little clicker things,
Something.
clicks all the people.
Yeah.
For us, whenever we did these, it was like we clicked every time someone came by and talked to us.
Yep.
And then we were able to say, yeah, We impacted 2,500 people in northeast
Mhm.
Wisconsin through these events,
Yep.
and that's how, that's another way we could do it. It's really simple. One of us could just go and just figure out how many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I think that's vital to have some type of data or numbers. And I think part of the strategy or part of the visibility initiative is not just to be present and show our face. It really is to get metrics, right?
Mhm.
Really is to measure the community impact that we have. So having a clicker or having other means of tracking the impact that we make with the community would be really helpful
Or
and
even
vital.
feedback we ever get back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Feedback would be great. Anyone else online? Sorry, and I'm so sorry, Commissioner Hassan, I forgot to ask if you were able to view the draft Equal Rights Commission, the Visibility Initiative Strategy. It was attached to the agenda.
I was looking at that, and I believe I haven't received. As you guys were talking, I was just looking at that and I couldn't find my email.
Oh, it was actually posted on.
Hold on, sorry. You go ahead, sorry.
Okay. So I think Commissioner Vincent posted it in the chat box, but if you're unable to see that, it should be attached to the agenda through the city website.
Okay.
Are you able to pull that up, Commissioner Sun?
Somehow I cannot be able to access.
Okay, let me try sending you, I'll try to send you a PDF of it. Wait, am I allowed to do that?
I think so, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I just sent a PDF version of it. It should come through in a second here.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yep. Let me know if you're unable to open that too. So while we wait to hear back from Commissioner Hassan, all great points so far. I think I'm gonna kind of revise what I asked of everyone, instead of choosing.
I received, thank you. I received.
Perfect, awesome. Yeah, if you could take some time to read through that, and then we'll come back to you to get some feedback. That'd be great. But yeah, and I think I need to revise this a little bit more because I just have so many different notes here. So I'm gonna re-ask what I said earlier. Yeah, I think today I'm just gonna ask for your feedback on it, and then I'll revise it, and then that'll kind of help us a little bit, or help me at least.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Commissioner Ortiz, do you have anything to add?
Thank you. You know, unfortunately, I wasn't able to read the document before the meeting, but you know, I want to thank you first of all for developing the document, because I think it gives us a much more structured way of directing our energy and our actions. But in reading this document, I don't know if we're committing ourselves to too much, you know, and you know, perhaps leave the document a little bit more organic instead of listing every item that we could do, you know, in terms of outreach or engagement activities. I don't know. I'm thinking that if, you know, if we define these activities, launch targeted campaigns or offer online webinars, are we committing ourselves to do certain things? And that's the only question that as I was reading this, it was in my mind, you know, like, should it be more open, implement, participate in engagement activities, and, you know, that could take many shapes and forms, but, you know, not restricted ourselves to a list of specific type of activities. That's the only thing that I will, you know, somehow consider if we're, you know, listing too many things, and then we, you know, when we measure what we've done and the impact that we have, I mean, do we have to go through this and say, have we produced brochures? Were we in town halls? Did we offer webinars? I mean, I don't know. That's the only thing it was crossing my mind as I read the document. But thank you for putting it together. I mean, I think it's a good idea to focus our energies a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you so much. I totally understand that reading this is kind of overwhelming. It really is. But I don't want it to seem that the things on this list is exactly what we have to do and we're gonna do it. This is just kind of an expansive list, and then we can all, you know, like I was saying earlier, I wanna kind of choose the priorities and condense it down so that we can actually put together a timeline and some, you know, even a phase plan to maybe phase some of these in together. But yeah, essentially, I think it would go back to kind of what John was suggesting earlier. What's low effort? What are things that staff can do? What's something out of, you know, out of I guess that might be too much for us to do. So I think it's just the way I organized it that kind of makes it seem overwhelming. But once I revise it, I think you'll feel a little bit better.
And I actually am super curious how going through something like this with some other equal rights commissions, like the idea, like maybe they can even give us some more feedback right? That would be, oh, we tried that, it didn't work, or whatever. I think it's a good thing to maybe even run it with them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So with what Stephanie was saying, would you guys like to have, if we can get them within the next month, could our next meeting, would it be okay for me to invite them to speak and share information?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna do some outreach and see who I can get here, whether it's the chair or just one of their commissioners. I'm gonna see, who I can get. So both Milwaukee and Madison, I'm gonna invite them both.
Even if it's just
Sure.
by Zoom. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Chair Yang, if it's helpful, I have a relationship with Tony Snell, the chair of the Milwaukee Commission.
Oh, that's
So I can
great.
connect with Tony and then get
Oh,
hooked up.
Awesome. If you don't mind reaching out, that'd be fantastic. And let me know how I can support you through your communication too.
Perfect, I'll do that.
Thank you so much. Great.
Just one flag that, isn't our next meeting on July 6th?
13th.
Oh, it's 13th, okay.
Yep,
Oh, it's the second, right, okay, of
Yep.
course. Yep.
And one thing the city government, the committees and commissions kind of take a break in July. It's the 1 month where it's kind of, everything's put off until August. At the last week in July is when they start picking up again. I don't know if we want to entertain not holding a meeting in July or entertain holding a meeting in July.
I think that's a great point. For me, I would say go ahead and host a meeting, especially if it's going to be informational. I think
Yeah.
let's just do that because we're missing a whole month,
Yeah.
So we're already more than halfway, or going to be
Yeah.
by July. That's more than halfway through the year, and then by the
Okay.
time we even get action done, it's going to be next year already. So for me, I feel like I would like to host it. But what are all of your thoughts on that?
I feel
That's
like
a good
I agree with you, since it's informational, we're gonna be picking at each other's brains, and it's not too high level or like action. I think that I'm okay with a meeting, you know what I mean?
You wanna?
Don't make it too long.
Okay.
It may just be that some people are unavailable though, right? Like if you're trying to get somebody
Mm.
here, it may be like, hey, I'm on vacation in July.
Yeah. Right.
I guess we can base it on that too, right? After those
Yeah.
communications come out, if they're like, I'm not available, then,
Zoom, unless you're on an airplane.
I was just gonna invite them
Some people like to
by
actually
Zoom
check out
because
though.
that's quite a drive for them. All right.
So much fun having it in my classes.
That's totally fine with me to have a meeting in July.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll keep everyone updated on what we hear back. Say we aren't able to have the other commissioners from the other cities come in to speak. Do you guys think that it'll still be valuable to meet?
I would, just in case something else comes
Yeah.
up in our, city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still meet, still talk about this.
Yeah.
If it's finalized or at a second or third draft, that's great. Then when we do connect with Milwaukee and Madison, then we'll have a little bit more fleshed out.
Mm-hmm. It's cool.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna go back to Commissioner Hassan. I know it's only been a few minutes. I don't know if you've had time to kind of really grasp the whole packet, but do you have any initial thoughts on it?
Yeah, to me, I think those lists, everything else, said on this document looks beautiful, and I like the document as visibility, initiative, strategy, and so the target should be more on outreach education, as well as defining of goals and what we can think as Commissioner Ortiz mentioned. Once we have a longer list of those objectives, what are the things that we can, welcome
Well, I'm so sorry to cut you off, Commissioner Hassan. I can't. You're going in and out. I can't really hear you. Could you repeat what you said?
Yeah, so I was talking about, that's why I disabled my my camera, my internet is not stable. So I was talking about the link, but mentioned by Commissioner Ortiz, we need to prioritize and come up with manageable, pieces of, manageable aspect of the document. But to me, I think, as I work the document right now, as a draft, everything said here, I do have one comment on target audience. So, you mentioned here local community members, including marginalized, underrepresented groups, local organizations, education and social media. I think I would also like to say also add they do feel they have an authority over their institution. I don't know if they and the local people give them explicitly mention them on this package. On your target audience. Other than that, I think everything that looks beautiful. I also like, what my, planning for
No.
I don't think that was my internet was working well.
We'll have to go.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Hassan. I'm gonna ask if anyone online was able to clearly hear him, or if Marcus, you were able to pick up some of what he was saying.
Commissioner Hassan, in terms of identifying target audiences, did you mention the religious and faith-based institutions? Is that who you're saying that we missed?
Yeah, that's my thinking.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hassan, for sharing your input on that. I will make sure to add that into the section 3. Does anyone else have any other feedback for this document? Again, this is a draft, and I will reorganize things based on the feedback that you all shared with me today. Once I have that draft complete, or once I reorganize things, Joe, would I send that to you and then you share it, or?
I'm not sure. I forgot how we did the last one. That's probably what we can do again. I think that'll work. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay,
Yep.
okay,
And then we'll probably just bring it back to the next VRC meeting.
yes. So, for the motion today, it would be just to
hold it.
receive it, hold it?
Yeah,
Okay.
hold until the next VRC
Okay.
meeting.
So can I get a motion to hold this document until the next meeting?
I'll make a motion to hold this document until next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so we're gonna hold this for the next meeting.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I know that we already had a discussion on this, but, so this eventually will go to city council. Is that right? If we approve it?
Joe?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it would. Yep.
Just to share with them, or would they have to approve of our action plan?
I think they'd have to approve of it, yes.
Okay.
So maybe that's just something for us to keep in mind as we're thinking about the next draft. Good. Not everybody's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Thanks,
wording.
John. Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Thank you so much for putting it together.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any further comments on this draft? And if you think of something later down the line, you can always feel free to email me or Commissioner Guzman or any of the other commissioners. Okay, so next is so we're going to close out that regular business. Next, we're moving into informational, which is just going to be the chair updates. And I wanted to highlight that this month is Pride Month, and I wanted to open up the conversation to see if anyone wanted to share a statement or two. And I wanted to start with Stephanie or Commissioner Guzman.
Thank you so much. I actually do have a couple things I would like to say. I want to commend the city for taking the initiative it has in being so, visible with the support for all people, specifically in this month for people who are definitely someone that identifies with the pride flag. I understand that it is like a controversial topic for many, but in this moment, I ask the people that might feel that way to see it like this. I think that the fact that the city is doing that is also, in a way, it's sharing with everybody that passes by and can see it, that if one child, one person is having some thoughts that might make them feel like they are less than, like might make them put them in a, like some of them, I may be blunt because I myself am a part of that community. There was a time where I myself felt like it was better to be dead than to be the way that you are. And so to see that as you're driving by, it literally it tells you that that is not true, right? Those intrusive thoughts that you have is not true, and that there are people that will not necessarily, like I said, you don't necessarily have to be, to support doesn't mean that you have to be, gay or part of the LGBT plus community. All it means that you're an ally and that you want these people to continue to be alive and well, just like as I would for anybody of any religion, of any color, of any background. So it almost reminds you of the kindergarten principle that they teach you, treat others treat others the way you want to be treated. And so the fact that we have a pride flag, to me, is immense progress and a reminder of why the city chose to be number one, right? Because it has to do bold statements like that in order to be number one, in order to really fulfill that, right? I understand that Pride Month also is celebration for the Stonewall riots. So it's a historical thing. It isn't just a political thing. It shouldn't be. It is something, it's something that's happening and has happened in the past, and it's something that we're no longer wanting to make a taboo, right? I feel like the fact that we are able to have open conversations in a commission just like this, it is definitely improvement, and I hope that whoever watches it, if they are a part of the Pride community, can also feel welcome to come and have conversations, not just about that, but about everything. And sometimes because you belong to some of these underrepresented communities or marginalized, you feel like your voice doesn't count. And so today, and in this month in general, the city has made it clear, and my commissioners here, that it is a safe place for us to come and share our thoughts, our successes, our victories, and also the things that we might need some help with. So thank you for that, and I'm hoping that, again, it's not a controversy, it shouldn't be, it's just love. We're leading with love, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate that. Would anyone else like to share statements or say anything? Anyone online?
I'll say something real quick. I just want to say, so I was at the flag raising today, and Commissioner Hutchison was there, Commissioner Benson was there, and Commissioner Benson did a really nice job of speaking about the threats that the LGBT community face right now. And, I just want to say that, allyship is great, but my guiding principle is solidarity. Mm-hmm. And when anybody in our community is being attacked, that means that we fight with them. Right? We're not just there standing with them, we're fighting with them. And to me, that's what this commission is all about, and that's what Pride Month is about. And so I'm happy to be a part of this commission and happy to be in a city where we celebrate that.
Thank you, John. Absolutely, I agree 100%. That we need to also take action. And that kind of brings up a question that I was meaning to ask Joe about, in regards to the equality index score. Is that still something that's being pursued to raise? Because I know we're not at 100% yet. We're at 84 or something.
I forgot what the last number was, but yes, that is on my radar. I think it has to be submitted by the end of July every year. And I just reached out this week to the Human Rights Campaign to ask, who's going to be kind of the lead and where I can send it to make sure that we do submit our score.
Okay. And
Or our information, I should say.
where are we at in regards to trying to increase that? What are some actions that are being taken?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'll have to revisit it, and I can bring it back to the July meeting, and we can have that on the agenda for the meeting.
Perfect.
I will not be here, but I'll have the information for you guys.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. Thanks, everyone. So moving forward, I wanted to invite John to share a little bit about his experience when he attended a tenant training that was hosted by, and don't quote me on this, I think it was like the Brown County.
I think
Housing
well,
Coalition or
It was Legal Action of Wisconsin that did the actual training.
Okay.
But I thought Brown County was involved in this somehow. Joe, do you know? I can't remember.
Could be the Housing Authority, Brown County Housing.
I think Brown Housing, I think they like sponsored it, but then Legal Action did the training.
Yeah, I know it's a county organization. I don't remember exactly if it's the Housing Authority or something similar to that.
Yeah, so I don't have like a super long update, but it was really interesting to learn about some of the things that, the ways that people have provided advocacy for tenants. And, one of the problems is that there's just a lot of state laws, as we wrote about in the report, that really make it difficult for tenants. But, there are things that every tenant should know about, right? Like, things like doing a walkthrough before they, go into renting. And this is like really low-hanging fruit that, this person from Legal Action, who we'll get to a little bit more about in a second, kind of said like, hey, if your landlord isn't going to do this, like that's a red flag right there, right? And so like there are things that I think we could do a better job of as a city and as a commission of like elevating. But I then talked to this person. His name is J. Scott Schnurr. I don't know if anybody knows who that is, but he's an attorney and somebody that I think we could probably contact if we know anybody, any tenants who are having issues. I have his card. I talked to him. He was very enthusiastic. He had heard about the commission report and really thanked us for our work. And we said that we would kind of keep in touch there. So I learned a lot from it. But the thing that I thought was most illuminating about it is there were like 8 people there. And so it's like, how do we really make this into a resource where the tenants in this area in this city, start to think about themselves as people that deserve to be advocated for, but also, kind of thinking proactively about how you go out and do that in a market where landlords, I know we should have considered everything that they had to say at the very beginning of our Equal Rights Commission report, but maybe we should have let them write the introduction. But in that sort of context, helping tenants to like really protect themselves and know what their rights are seems really, really important. And so I'm hoping that as we think about this visibility initiative, there's a way that we can, not that we would make everything about housing, but when we introduce ourselves, we can say like, hey, like this is one of the things that we're thinking about. We want you to be proactive in terms of thinking about how you can be treated equally in the housing market and the rental market. Because it's hard, these conditions are tight, and it's difficult for folks to get a fair shake. So that's pretty much what I have to report. But it was illuminating. I didn't have a chance to go to the landlord training, which I wanted to go to as well. I'll do that eventually.
Thank you, John, and thank you for attending that on our behalf too. I think that was really insightful and helpful for you to see exactly what goes on and who attends those. Because one, maybe they didn't do good outreach to the community members who really needed it, and 2, the information that you learned, is that information that's helpful for the community? Is it digestible for the community, for these marginalized communities or underserved communities? So it's good to have one of our commissioners be present in that.
But see, and here's the thing though, right? It was at the Brown County Library, right?
Yeah.
In the basement. I actually couldn't even, I can imagine people being deterred from going there because I couldn't figure out how to get down there at
Yeah.
first. Right? You actually had to go down the elevator. I had to talk to a librarian about like, hey, how do I get there? Because the door was locked. So you imagine somebody coming off of work, trying to figure that out, and they're like, I just want to go kind of find this out, and it's impossible to figure out where this is. How even something like that is a deterrent.
Yeah.
Or somebody not speaking English and not being able to ask the librarian,
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, like, I felt a little bit of anxiety about, like, am I going to be able to find this? Am I in the wrong place? And so imagine being somebody who, is less equipped than I am to, like, navigate these kind of spaces. And so, I think as we think about doing this, we need to think about how we get out there to folks in this community rather than just expecting them to find out about something and come to it,
Yeah. Piggyback on that, I heard that we are having one finally, and we're having one in Spanish. There's gonna be one happening in Spanish, and so the way that they're marketing it right now, they send a mass email to like every community partner. I was tagged on there as well, and it was cool to see, but I agree with you. I got an email, I know how to use it. Now it's also checking and see where it's gonna be. Because I know for a fact that we've had community events that if it's even just a little difficult somehow, that deters them 100% and they just rather go home, so, yeah.
So is there a way to do like a 10-minute thing in some of the Catholic churches?
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah, sorry, Marcus.
Is there something that we can do, like open a space for them and collaborate with them, since we did put out this housing report?
Yeah.
Like even this room right here is big enough for more than 8 people, or hopefully we get more than that. But, I mean, that's something that we go back to.
Or like John said, meet them where they are.
Meet them where they are, or have a space where they're not gonna be locked even too.
Like, for example, for other situations, we reached out to churches because we know that that's where a lot of our population goes, and they opened the door and they were like, yeah, go ahead, present. And then they didn't have to go anywhere. They were there and they received the information. So sometimes it's useful to do it in places that they usually meet.
Exactly.
Maybe we should reach out to some of the, like, for example, him. Maybe we could share some ideas with this person as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, John is the point person from our commission, so he's making amazing connections,
100%,
which
yeah.
will be super useful for city staff. So if, John, you can share that information with Joe and, is it Cheryl?
Cheryl, yeah.
Cheryl's still working on the housing stuff, so that'd be fantastic.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I took a picture of this card because I'll probably lose it.
That's how I do it too.
All right, so after that, I wanted to ask if it's the right environment for you, Commissioner Guzman, if you can share just a little bit of the update about the school board
Yes.
issue, because people did come to our commission, so I wanted to make sure that we updated.
Sure. For anybody who wants to know, there was a June 5th board meeting, and, it's difficult work. So I think that even how they navigated that conversation of which schools to close is going to be a long one. And I think that meeting, whoever watches it on YouTube, or even if they go to the next one, they'll see that it even though maybe initially the thought was, okay, here's a schema, it's called Schema 12, these are the recommendations of what schools to close, here, this goes to the board, and now you choose. I mean, at first you would think that it's, oh yeah, so we're gonna sign off on it, but no, it's a lot of discussion, and when, June 5th happened, only one school from the 11 that were initially planned to be closed on June 5th is the one that's in process. So even that school, which is Wickwioc, it wasn't closed yet, it was, the process has initiated. So the only update is that Wickwioc is officially now a school that the process to close it has started. And now the other part of it is that Tank is now going to be getting it. You're going to be looking into Tank, the information on whether the Tank specialty and the programming can go into Fort Howard. And if it does, then they will also be moving forward to the process to close Tank. They already put together the referendum question. So what they want that to look like, one of the three things on it is funding for creation of a elementary on the west side, funding for DOB offices to be moved to West High School and Jado as well. And there is one more thing that I'm missing, so I will absolutely send everybody.
Security upgrades.
Yes, security upgrades for several schools. So I don't have the specifics, I know that it's on their website. You can find it there.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, but other than that, I think, oh yeah, and the creation of a boundaries task force. So that's gonna be happening. What that means is that they're going to be convocating another task force to start a process that has not happened in 2 decades. So how do you get on that? It's volunteer. You know, you have to volunteer to be on it. So if there's any citizen or any person who wants to be a part of this task force, you can start sending an email to the board or, you know, even the superintendent and say, hey, I'm somebody who, you know, I'm in the neighborhood or whatever your reasons are as to why you would like to be a part of this task force. You can start sending emails and according to the discussions, the board would then decide on all the names and they would get invited to be a part. So, you know, based on the conversation that a lot of the board members had, they also want more representation. So I invite everybody out there, no matter what, send your name if it's something you like. Saeed Hassan was part of the last one. So, you know, we've had people there, even here in this Equal Rights Commission, so that makes me happy. I understand that maybe he wasn't able to be a part as much as he wanted to because of, you know, it was his holiday at the time. But regardless, it's an invitation, and kind of like what we do here, it is volunteer work. So that is the only updates for now. So from the 11 schools, only one for now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
But
Yes.
the work of NewLet was really, really essential in like getting the school board to like listen to the concerns of the Latino community.
I'm very thankful. Yes, so a shout out to the people that came the last meeting. They were a part of NewLet, and honestly, it was like you say, they mobilized families, and not just the Latino community. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up, but I love that our Asian community stood up as well, and they said, hey, we're here too. And I love it because it's starting those conversations with all communities. And so it's a beautiful thing. While it might seem like a difficult conversation, in my eyes, I think it's a beautiful thing because now we have more people who want to be involved. And honestly, as a district, I think that's a beautiful thing when your people want to be involved. So I thank you for bringing that up, John, because it's true. The work of many people, leaders in this community, is not something that we just put under the table. It is very apparent, and I can tell it's working because the board was more hesitant and now wants to take more time to see how these decisions will affect through. So that's always a good thing, right?
So the property that the district acquired over the years, they can't just sell that off to make do with the deficit that they currently have right
I
now?
feel like unfortunately it's a every year deficit. So I think if they did, it would only cover maybe 1 year. So I think they're looking for something to cover it all, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's gonna be hard, long work from, I think somebody said the deadline would be November. So they have until November, January, the ultimate deadline, but yeah.
Gotcha.
So there will be more conversations, I'm sure. Like I said, from the initial thought was it was gonna all pass, but I think now they're taking step by step. So, you know, if things were to happen later on, maybe more people will come and voice some concerns. We can always direct them or, you know, see what we can do to help in that area.
Cool. Thank you, Mr. Pridgen.
Was there a consultant hired to look at the cultural impact?
Well, according to them, the ASTR did look a little bit into that,
Oh.
and there was some demographic work that was done.
Oh.
But I think they're going to be looking into hiring another consulting firm for
Okay.
more specifically that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you.
And I just want to reiterate that, first of all, thank you for NewLet, to really take charge and lead on making sure that these underserved, marginalized communities' voices are heard. But also, I just wanted to also put a disclaimer out there that I understand that as a commission, we are part of local city government, and the school board, they are state, right? And so I understand there's boundaries, but at the same time, it's our residents that are being affected, that live in the city of Green Bay. So we will, be there to advocate for those residents. because there's children involved,
Yeah.
as schools are being moved and shut down, and I just want to make sure that our residents' well-being is taken care of.
There was one, talking about that, there's one, and I have to reach out to make sure that because they sent the message, a mother sent a message through Snapchat. And I kind of wanted to direct them to the appropriate means so I can read their statement for them. But I think the one thing was, I think their child goes to Tank and they were concerned about if they closed it, this child would have to walk through that Broadway area to get to Fort Howard, and they were worried because they're like, if you've seen people like speed all the time there. And so it was scary for the mother thinking that, oh my God, my kid's gonna have to walk. So I think, it's just, those are the conversations that some of our citizens are worried about. It's a lot of that, the walking, the danger and stuff like that. So, and maybe those are awesome conversations we can have with the police department, right? If for some reason Tank were to close, we could absolutely maybe even let them know that, hey, during that time, you guys might wanna park here because people drive. It was funny, there was a press conference that was done there not that long ago, and as it was happening, like 5 cars, vroom, fast. So then the parent was like, my point exactly. So, I guess we could facilitate those conversations as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for giving us an update on that. My last thing is I don't know if I missed this yet, the refugee initiative, the Refugee Day, I believe it is,
Oh, yeah.
the initiative that Commissioner Hassan, I saw an email come out, but I didn't get a chance to fully read the details of it. So I was wondering if you can share a little bit more about that and how we can support you.
Yeah, so thank you, Commissioner. So World Refugee Day commemorated every year on June 20th. The hope away from home. So hope away from home. So this year we have seen an uptake of those who are displaced by war, famine in the world. Recently, the war going on in Ukraine, Sudan, parts of Somalia, and you name it. So it is 117.2 million people. Those are those who are registered as refugees, excluding those who are crossing the borders in Europe, in America, and who are considering themselves as parolees or asylees. So I'm talking about a refugee who have been documented so far. So this year, COMSA will be, participating in hosting a baseball fundraiser at Capital Credit Union Park. And then it's going to be 5:35 to 6:35. I will be doing the first pitch, or I will be throwing the first. It's my first time to do that. You can remember that is a former refugee trying to do So that by itself is just a history made for me. I haven't tried baseball in my life, so it's going to be. I think more than anyone else, more than anything else, people who are coming to support me, to see how I'm doing that day, it will be great for me. So yeah, so that's what we are doing on that day. I don't know if I have shared my email with every commissioner, but Commissioner Chera, if you can separate that among the commissioners also, I will be very happy.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Saeed. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Thank you so much for sharing that information. I plan to be there, so
Me too.
that's exciting.
Yep.
And we're rooting for you. I think you'll do just great for your first pitch.
Right.
You are going to practice though, right? It's not literally going to be your first pitch.
Okay, I think John can be able to be my
You'll be fine. So that's all that I had for my chair updates, but I do want to ask all the commissioners, or if you guys have anything else to add, if you guys have any comments or anything to share with us before we adjourn today.
So I had this idea that's been floating around in my head for about a year. Sorry, hopefully y'all can hear me. So one of the things that I've been curious about is there's been a lot of press coverage, or at least promotion from the state level on different tribal territories. So like a reservation, you know, they have the English name plus the tribal word for it. One of the things that I'm thinking about is, when I first started this idea, I thought about changing the name of Green Bay, but I felt like that'd be a little too controversial and people would be like, no way, no, they'll hate natives forever after that. So I'm thinking of is, what if there's a way where we can create some type of visibility initiative around the whole word of what Green Bay is? And the Menominee word for it is called Puchiket, which means the Bay of Green. But we do a whole thing where we build awareness around the word, where it came from, but then we also start pulling in other things too, like local organizations, or for that matter, the Packers. And it'd be really cool to kind of see some type of special made jersey that's called the Puchiket Packers. I don't know if they would even like wear it for a game, but we could do this leading up to the draft. And it could be something that not only promotes the commission, but it also promotes our first peoples who were here first, the Menominee.
Yeah.
But that's something that I'm thinking about. It's very open, early concept. I just kind of wanted to pitch it tonight to everybody to see what they think, but I'd call it the Puchiket Visibility Awareness Campaign, and we try and get something permanent. Like when people drive into Green Bay, they say Green Bay, City of Green Bay, but they also see Puchiket, Bay of Green. And you have to put it in parentheses so people understand what it means. Because sometimes I've seen different tribal words on different signs when you're driving into a reservation, and it's like, well, I get that. What does it really mean? Is it just the word Kashina, or is it just like other things as well? There's always a lot of, there's more to that than just the word. There's like a statement or a phrase. So for Menominees, it's always a phrase. So like, you know, Puchiket's Bay of Green. Canonian means see you later, but it's just one word. So that's just an idea I thought would be good to like raise awareness about the Menominees, because Oneidas already have a very large presence here. But does anybody in the city know that the Menominees actually gifted the land to the Oneidas through a treaty? Because they had no land. They were basically living in the streets of Green Bay with nothing, and the Menominees offered them land. Same thing with the Stockbridge, Muncie Band, and Mohicans. We gave them a parcel of land just underneath our reservation, and that was through the treaty-making era with the feds. And it was right around the time, I think, when Wisconsin became a state as well. So I think that that would be something very interesting. I'm very open to suggestions on this. I don't want it just to be Mark Greeno running this whole thing. I'd like to be kind of like a commission thing, but I think it's like a not too controversial. We're not trying to change anything, but just raise awareness about something. And it might give us good rapport with a lot of people. So.
Could I make a suggestion about how to do that?
Yeah.
You write up a proposal, like nothing too extensive.
Yep.
That you can bring to one of the next meetings, because I think if we're going to do this, we've got to get the mayor on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, and then, and essentially as a commission, we could ask him as the mayor to have a conversation. I mean, if we want to use the kind of end goal as the draft, right, to have him support that, we kind of need to like, first of all, have the idea, have the commission behind it.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I love it though, holy, I got chills when
It's
you said
really
that.
interesting, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a very inspiring idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so unique. I feel
Yeah.
like it's really good idea, Marcus. Like, for example, I guess, you know, we have
It's cool.
the Vegas Raiders, we got all these crazy things, but we have such a unique thing here in Wisconsin, and it's that, right?
Yeah.
So why not highlight it? Yeah.
Definitely. Cool, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
And also, like, to build on that, like, in terms of the conversations that are happening around Native American mascots in sports, this is like a way to be like, we're doing this right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hold that pitch for the mayor.
And like you said, it's not like you're changing the name. People won't get mad. It's
Right.
you're
Yeah.
adding to it, right?
Exactly.
We're adding meaning to it.
Adding,
Yeah.
adding the
Yeah.
culture to it.
Yeah.
And it could even be like a thing where we highlight everybody's culture here.
Yeah.
But I think that's just something.
The pioneers for that.
Oh, yeah, so you
Yeah.
have Puchican and then other names from other cultures.
Like the
Vayaveve.
Polish or whoever else that are in this area, you
Yeah.
know? I'm sure they call it something.
German, yeah. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I love that idea. I think I had a conversation with the mayor not too long ago about proclamations. You know, we can do something along that line. And it's funny, he was like, yeah, you can, you know, send in a proposal for a proclamation every month if you wanted, every week. You know, so, you know, there's things that I think that the city can do to really elevate and support this idea and initiative.
Yeah.
So yeah, once you get it in written form,
Okay.
bring it back, we'll bring it back up to the table and have a discussion and invite the mayor for,
And I love that it also highlights the whole community. It's pretty cool. I know how I feel when I see something in Spanish,
Hopefully.
you know?
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure. Cool. All right then. That's all I got.
nice.
thank you. Anyone else? All right, anyone online? Sorry, I keep looking at the screen, but.
Look back there.
Right. Okay,
Can I say
so,
something? Let me just say something real quick.
Yeah.
All right? You think back where we were with our first couple of meetings, like, this commission is on fire right now. Like, it's
Oh, yeah.
awesome to be here.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
I'm energized.
Good.
That is good.
it's been a pleasure, honestly, this journey. It's been great working with everyone.
All right.
All right, well, if there's no other further comments or discussions, then I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
All opposed?
That one time I said maybe.
All right, meeting is adjourned at 16.
Go ahead, say Dave.
I did.
Say something. Say something.